Good morning, this is your math sensei, Mr. Sensei, and this is STAAR linear equations, part one. There'll be 10 questions that are all coming from a STAAR test, and we're going to break them down. And they're all going to be linear in some form or fashion. It says, which of the following equations are represented by the graph? So we have a graph here. So we have several things we can do. What I like to start off with is I want to start off with the equations that begin with y equals, okay? Now, as it turns out, apparently there's going to be two that represent, not just one. So anything that's y equal is where I like to start. So I'm going to drop into Desmos and I'm going to switch over and I'm going to plug number one into Desmos because it's already in y equal. And then I'm going to plug in number three because it also looks like y equals. And we're going to see if they match the graph. If they match the graph, they're the right. If they're not, if they don't match the graph, they're wrong. So here we go. We're going to go to share. And hopefully we're looking at Desmos. And I'm just going to type it in the way it showed up on my paper, which is y equals negative 3 divided by 2x and then minus 2. All right. So negative 3 halves x minus 2. I do have a nice straight line, but when I look at that line, it's going down. Let's go back and take a look real quickly at my paper. So looking back at my paper, this is what we had when we graphed it. It looked something like this. Well, guess what? This one's going up, that one's going down, so one is wrong. Well, guess what? If one is wrong, I can look at these and go, you know what? That gets rid of B because it has a one and D because it has a one. So B and D can't be that. So then I'm going to go ahead and try out number three because this number three is already set up the way I want it to be set up. So I'm going to switch back over to Desmos, or at least attempt to. And I'm going to type that one in. And this is the third one. And it's y equals parentheses x minus 2 parentheses x minus 3. And I get a u. Well, guess what? That is not what was shown on the graph next to it. So once again, I'm going to switch back over. At least I'm going to try to. There we go. So I ended up with this shape there. Well, that doesn't match, so that means number three is gone. Well, if number three is gone, it must be 2 and 4. But I want you to know how to verify that in case they have others that are close. So to do that, I need to rearrange these. And this skill that I'm about to show you for this one is one of the most important skills. So we have 2x minus 3y equals 6. Okay, to do that, I need to get this to look like y equals mx plus b. I always want it to look like y equals something because as soon as it looks like y equals something, I can plug it into Desmos and graph it. So I want this y by itself. Well, I need to move this 2x. Well, this is a plus 2x. So to move, I'm going to have to do the opposite of plus because when you're moving, it's either going to be a plus or a minus, and you're going to do the opposite. So I need to move a minus 2x. Well, this goes away, and I still have negative 3y on this side. Now, these do not combine. I cannot combine variables with constants, so this is going to equal negative 2x, and that's a plus 6. All right, we have one more step. These two things are stuck together. I need to separate. In math, to separate, we always divide. So I'm going to divide by negative 3. This drops off, and I get y equals. Now, I'm going to grab the calculator just to speed things up. Now, you could do this on Desmos, but I'm going to go negative 2 divided by negative 3. And once again, you could do it on Desmos. I'm going to press math, enter, enter, and I get the nice fraction 2/3 because a negative and a negative is a positive. And then I have 6 divided by negative 3, and that's negative 2. So I end up getting y equals 2/3 x minus 2. So let's switch back over to Desmos and see if that actually matches. All right, clearing this one out and putting y equals 2/3 x minus 2. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That looks like the one on the page. So it looks like for sure that number 2 is a success. So number 2, which is the toughest one, this is the most difficult one, is a success. That one does match. So we like number 2. Then we're going to check out number 4. Number 4 looks scary, but it's not nearly as much work. We have y minus 2 equals 2/3 parenthesis x minus 6. Once again, I need the y by itself. Well, to do that, the only thing I have to do is move the minus 2. And remember, to move across the equal sign, you're going to either do a plus or minus. So this is going to be a plus 2. And I'm going to put a plus 2 there. This goes away, and now I have y equals 2/3 parenthesis x minus 6 close parenthesis plus 2. Now that looks awful, but that's all we need to do. If we have it just like that, we can switch back over to Desmos, see if that actually works. So y equals 2/3 parenthesis x minus 2. Oh, x minus 6, excuse me. Delete, 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 delete. And then we had a plus 2 on the end. And once again, we get exactly the same graph as what we had before. So guess what? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. We know that for sure that number 2, and number 4 work. So number 2 and number 4 work. And that's also that when we eliminated answers, that was all we had left anyways. Okay. Which set of ordered pairs contains only points that are on the graph of the function? Well, first off, they give us this equation y equals 12 minus 3x. Now, I like to put the x's in parentheses, so because that's usually that's the input, so I always want to put the input in parentheses. Well, here I have x, y, x, y, x, y, x, y, all the way across. Now, I don't have to keep labeling them. I think you get the idea that they're x, y's all the way across. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the x's and see if it matches the y. So I'm going to plug in -3 and see if I get -27. If I do, then I'm going to try 0. And if that works, I'll try 6. And if they all work, then we're done. If they don't all work, we got to keep trying. So being myself and not wanting to work too hard, I'm going to try to do this on Desmos. And I'm going to drag this over. And let's see what we're looking at real quickly. Not working too good. Okay, we can't do that like that. So let me pull that back up. And drag this back over. And we are going to go to Desmos. And I am going to enter that information. So screen 2, share. And I'm going to enter the equation y equals 12 minus 3x. That's exactly the way they gave it to me. 12 minus 3, but I always want to put the x in parentheses. And that very first x they gave me was a -3. So if I put in -3, I need to get -27. And the answer is I got -21. So consequently, we know that this is wrong because this needed to be a 21. And I'm going to switch back over this one time, and I can do it every time. Because right here, instead of a -27, I got a 21, and that's wrong. It's supposed to be 21, and I mean, and this is what I got. I got this, but I have -27, so that's wrong. So I'm going to go to this one and plug in -18 and see if I get 10. So switching back over, and if I don't, then I'm going to go to the next one and keep going down the list. So Instead of the -3, I'm going to plug in -18. And I hope I'm going to get 10. Well, it turns out I get 66. So I got 66. Guess what? That's not what I needed. So B is also wrong. So A and B we've eliminated. Okay, we're going to drop down to C and we're going to plug in -5. And if we plug in -5, we're hoping we're going to get 27. Hey, I do get 27. So I can check that, but then I need to go check the next one and check -1 because I have to check all of them to make sure it works all the way across. When I do that, I get 15. Okay, so far so good. I need to plug in 8 and see if I get -12. So I plug in 8 and I get -12. So that right there tells me C should be my answer. That said, I want to make sure I can eliminate D. So I'm going to plug in -7 for D. And when I do that, I was supposed to get -9. Instead, I got 33. That's wrong. Therefore, D is not it. And we just eliminated it by put and found out that the answer choice is C. So let's look at this one more time before we move on. So on C, I plugged in -5 and I got 27. I plugged in -1 for X and got 15. I plugged in 8 for X and I got -12. So we know that C is the correct response. Moving on. Okay. Which of the following is equivalent to 3x minus 4y equals 6? No, these are one of the tough ones. This was that skill I was telling you on problem one is so super important. When you have an equation like this, it needs to look like y equals mx plus b, which means I need this y by itself. So 3x minus 4y equals 6. We want y by itself. Well, to move this x, when you move something across the equal sign, it's always going to be a plus or minus. So this is a plus 3x. So I need to do the opposite, which is a minus 3x. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. This goes away, and I have -4y equals, these don't combine, so that becomes -3x plus 6, because that 6 doesn't have a sign, so it must be positive. All right, I need to separate. These are side by side, and I need to separate. Well, the way you separate in math is you divide. So you divide by -4, and this goes away and becomes y equals. Now, I can do this on Desmos, but I'm going to just do it on a calculator because it's a little bit faster. I have -3 divided by -4, and that's 0.75. And I find out that that's a positive 3/4. So y equals 3/4 x. Let me get these lights back on because it's a little weird working in the dark. All right, sorry about that. So we know we're looking at 3/4 x, and a negative and a negative is a positive. So that gets rid of this one, that gets rid of this one, that gets rid of this one. So it better be this, but we need to check this out. And we have 6 divided by -4, math, enter, and I get -3/2. And again, Desmos would have done that for you. Our best answer choice to this one is J. All right, the next one, the table represents some points in the graph of a linear function. So they tell me it's linear. If it's a linear, I don't have to put in the entire table. All right, I only have to put in 2 ordered pairs. Okay, so I'm going to have to do that. It says, what is the rate of change? If they're asking for the rate of change, they're asking for the slope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 2 ordered pairs. It doesn't matter which 2 you choose. I'm going to choose the first 2. Why? Because they're the first 2. I could put it all in, but I'm just going to put in 2, and I'm going to drop into Desmos to do this. Okay? So going to Desmos, and initially I'm going to do it one way, and I'm going to get an answer that's kind of ugly. And I want to show you another way as well. So first off, I'm going to try the plus button, and then I'm going to click the word table, and I'm going to plug in the -2, and then I'm going to plug in the word 12. Then I'm going to plug in 0, and I'm going to plug in 3, and I'm going to go right here. It's a funny thing when you hover over it says add regression, and I get y equals -4/5 x plus 3. Well, they just told me, they gave me this equation, or Desmos did, y equals -4.5x plus 3. And I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. So that's what they gave me. And I know that this lines up with y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope. So my slope is -4.5. I don't see that answer choice. Okay, but I don't need to quit there. I'm going to switch back over to Desmos. There we go. No, that did not work. Try again. Sorry about that. No, I appreciate your patience. There we go. So there's that 4.5. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it below. Or not. Try again. There we go. And I'm going to hit the little circle and it gives me -9/2. And it's like, oh, -9/2, that's B. So we know the answer choice is -9/2. So that's one way to have done it. All right. The other way to do it is, if you think that's too much, I can't tell you that this is any better, but it works every time, especially if you have ugly decimals. So you really need to know this. Parenthesis minus parenthesis, parenthesis minus parenthesis. All right, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to stop the share and show you what I'm doing. Basically, we're saying m equals y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2 equals parenthesis minus parenthesis over parenthesis minus parenthesis. Well, it's going to be y's over the x's, so 12 over -2 and 3 over 0. Now that I have that, I'm going to switch back to Desmos. At least I'm going to try to. Hopefully I won't run into the same problems I ran into last time. And I have 12 and -2. And then I have, oh, excuse me, 12 and 3 is what I wrote. 12 and 3, that's what I wrote. And then I have right here, I have -2 and I have 0. So now that I have that, I'm going to divide those. I'm going to go 9/-2. I get a decimal, I hit the little circle, and I get -9/2. Either way works. All right. You just need to choose the one you like the best, although you do need to know the second method sometimes. That's going to be required some of the times. Okay. Which equation in standard form has a graph that passes through the point -4,2 and has a slope of 9/2? Well, guess what? That's a lot of work. I'm going to show you a shortcut. Essentially, this is X and this is Y. Well, guess what? They're all set up exactly the same way. Okay? Because they're set up exactly the same way, I have all of them have 9x minus 2y. So I'm going to write that down. 9 parenthesis x minus 2 parenthesis y. Now, I know x is -4 and y is -2, so I can just plug in 9 parenthesis -4 minus 2 parenthesis 2. Now I'm going to drop right into Desmos and see what happens. Clear all this stuff out. So this is the equation I had. I had 9 parentheses, oops, try again, 9 parentheses x minus 2 parentheses y. But we said, oh, for x, we were going to plug in -4. And for y, we were going to plug in 2. Hey, when I did that, I got -40. Well, when I go to my answer choices, and I'm going to stop my share right now. When I go to my answer choices, the only one that looks like that is H. Now the question is where do they get the slope of 9/2? Well, sometimes they'll just ask for the slope, so you need to make sure you know how to do this. That means I need to rearrange so that it looks like y equals mx plus b. So to do that, I need to move this 9x. Well, to move, you're going to either do a plus or minus, so I'm going to do a minus. This goes away, and I have -2y equals -9x minus 40. Divide, they're side by side, so to separate, I have to divide. This goes away, and I end up getting, this ends up giving me y equals a negative divided by a negative is a positive, is 9/2 x plus a negative divided by a negative is a positive 20. Well, m is my slope and m is 9/2, and that's what they asked for over here. Okay, moving on to number 6. Which graph represents -3x plus 5y equals -15? Golly, man, these are a lot of that problem. I must think that that's an important problem. So we have -3x plus 5y equals -15. The goal is to get that y by itself because I want it to look like y equals mx plus b, because once I have that, I can recognize my slope, I can recognize my y-intercept, and I can plug it into Desmos. So at this point, I need to add 3x because I have to do the opposite and I need to move across. This goes away, and now I have 5y equals 3x minus 15. I'm going to write that down here. 5y equals 3x minus 15. Okay, I can't leave it like that. I have to divide by 5 because they're side by side. So to separate in math, you have to divide. So this goes away, and I have y equals 3/5 x minus 3. All right, 3/5 x minus 3. So now I'm going to plug that into Desmos and see what happens, which graph looks most like that. By the way, I should say something real quickly. This is a positive slope. So if I think about the angry man eyebrows, and here's a picture of the angry man. Remember negative slope, positive slope, undefined slope, and zero slope. If I have the angry man eyebrows, this is positive, so I need to be going up. The fact that I need to be going up, it's like, oh, that gets rid of A, and that also gets rid of D because they're not going the right directions. But we'll see if that happens. We're going to plug that into Desmos and see what happens. So y equals 3 divided by 5 x minus 3. Okay, so we need to be going up. And I look at this, it's like, you know what? This looks like it crosses right here at 0, -3. The one that looks like that to me the most, is B. Okay, so the answer choice to this is B. And if I had wanted a table, let's see, I could do this, and I'd get a table of values and then plot some points on the graph. Okay, we don't have to do that, but it will do that for us. Okay, so we know our answer is B because it crossed through -3, number B. So what is the slope of the line represented by 5x minus 12y equals 24? Once again, the goal is place this into y equals mx plus b, because once you have it in y equals mx plus b, you know m is your slope, this is your y-intercept, and if you need to graph it, you can drop it into Desmos once it equals y equals. So let's make sure this is what we have. So I need to move this 5x because the goal is to get y all by itself. Well, this is a plus 5x, so I have to do the opposite to move it across the equal sign, which is going to be a minus 5x. This drops away, and I end up with negative 12y equals negative 5x plus 24. All right. The next thing I need to do is divide. The reason I'm dividing is they're side by side and I need to separate them. If I need to separate in math, you separate by division. So I divide everything on this side by negative 12. This becomes y. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this is 5/12 x. And if you're not sure of that, you can go to the calculator and do that. Or Desmos, negative 5 divided by negative 12. And sure enough, it's a positive 5/12 x. This divides out to be negative 2. And if I lower that underneath there, 5/12 x minus 2, I see that my m, which is my slope, is 5/12. So my answer is J. Now, if they'd asked for the y-intercept is B. This is the y-intercept. But they asked for the slope. So make sure you read it carefully. Okay. Number 8. All right. Which equation is best represented by this graph? There's a bunch of ways to do this. But the easiest way is to rewrite these so that they go into y. You want to get the y by itself. So to do this, I'm just going to put a minus 7 because that'll move that 7 over here and add it to the end. And then this goes away. On this one, I'm going to put a minus 1 and this will go away. And then this one, I have to do the opposite, which is a plus 4. So this will be a plus 4. And this will have to be a plus 2. I don't really have much room for that. And that'll go away. All right. So that's what I'm going to plug in the Desmos. And I'm going to see which one gives me the graph. And it needs to cross here at positive 5 and somewhere around 1.5 over here. So we'll take a look at this and give it a shot. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out. If we remember the angry man eyebrows, this is a negative, this is a positive, this is undefined because it's vertical, and this is horizontal, so it has a 0 slope. We have a negative slope here, so my slope better be negative. So that should get rid of C and D, but we're still going to check it out. So it's probably not going to be C or D, but we're going to find out here in just a moment. All right, so plugging in, we moved the plus 7 to get negative 3 parentheses x minus 4 close parentheses, and we had that minus 7 that we moved over because it was a plus 7, so it became a minus 7. We needed it to cross at 0.5. This one does. So this, and this, we said somewhere between around 1.5. This is close enough. So this is probably it. I'm kind of liking A as my answer choice, but I'm going to try out B just in case. So I'm going to put that one right below it, see what B looks like. So we have Y, shift, Y, oops. I can just copy this. And instead of having a minus 7, I'm going to make that a minus 1. That's clearly not it, because if I zoom out, it crosses up here at 11. So we know B is wrong. All right. I'm going to try C just to make sure. Make sure I didn't make an error. So this was supposed to be a plus 4. Guess what? That blue line is clearly in the wrong spot. It crosses somewhere about 16. So C is gone. and we thought it would be gone. All right. Oh, actually, C, I forgot to do something. This is a positive. So C, not even close. It's not even the right direction because we changed this because it became a positive. All right. And then D was also positive, so we don't think it's going to be right, but it was a +2. And guess what? It's in the wrong spot as well. So we eliminated B, C, and D, and we confirmed that answer choice A was our right one here. And I'm going to get rid of the ones that were wrong. And we said it was this one because it crossed at 0, 5, which is exactly where our graph crossed at. It crossed also at 0, 5. Okay, what is the slope of y equals 12x minus 19? Well, this is a fairly easy equation, and here's why. It's already in y equals mx plus b format. So remember, y equals mx plus b. M is my slope. This is my y-intercept. So if I write y equals 12x minus 19, m's my slope, that lines up. So guess what? That 12 is my slope, and that's all the more work that has to be done. D is 12. All right. What is the equation in slope-intercept form? Okay, slope-intercept form. There's the vocabulary. They want it to look like y equals mx plus b. That passes through the point -4, 2 and 12, 6. So it's got to pass through those 2 points. Well, there's several things I can do. What I would recommend doing is putting those points into Desmos, and you may have to do it a couple different ways, but this is going to be my X, this is my Y, this is my X, and this is my Y. So I'm going to drop those points into the table and see what happens. So here we go. I'm going to share. And I'm going to hit the plus button, table, and we have -4 and 2. And over here, the next one was 12 and 6. Great, I got a couple points. I hit this little thing, it says add regression. And I end up getting y equals 0.25x plus 3. Well, real quickly, we know the answer has to be answer choice F, because that's the one that has that. So we know the answer is F, answer choice F. Please remember that you can copy this. If you need the fraction, you can copy it. Or I say you can. Try again. And it'll turn it into a fraction. We didn't need that, but that can be done. All right. I hope this helps. Just wanted to show you this one gave us exactly what we had there. And it's in y equals mx plus b format. Desmos did it for us. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.